What's up you guys, I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap, and today let's take a look at net worth by age to see where we stack up. In my monthly tracking spreadsheet, which I'll share with you sometime, I've got a little tool that where when I update my net worth, it lets me know how I'm doing against other groups, either age or the quintiles or quartiles within an age group, and I find that motivating to look at. The data I use are from DQYTJ, using Federal Reserve SCF data. Let's look at data from 2020 so we can put together a picture of American finances, and you'll be able to see where you land as we go along. Now I'm going to round all the numbers to the nearest thousand. There's just so many numbers, so if I was doing the detailed numbers up to each individual dollar, then yeah, it would just start to sound like number soup. So yeah, it'll be much easier if we round to the nearest thousand. Let's start instead of with the 18 to 24 age group, because there can be a whole lot of differences in what's going on with someone around that time. Well, that can be true, I guess, for really any age cohort. But anyway, I think it makes more sense to start once we're a little bit further along in things, getting out of college or trade school and trying to get a career going, or at least we've got some kind of employment. So we'll look at the age 25 to 29 group, and the median net worth, so that's right in the middle, the 50th percentile, is $8,000. So I think that makes sense. We've been in the workforce for a little while, but on the one hand we have student loans probably weighing us down, and then we just haven't had time to be saving a lot for retirement or to have bought a home and gotten any equity in it, and so it makes sense that median net worth would be relatively small, but it is nice to see that it's positive here at $8,000. For the bottom 25% of this group though, net worth is negative at negative about $4,000. So most likely student loans. We may also have some credit card debt here, bad habits early on, I don't know. But either way, a tougher situation here for the bottom 25%. By contrast, the top 25% have a net worth of $62,000. And the top 10% are way beyond that at $152,000. So even at this early age, we can see a wide gap, especially between the top 25% and the top 10% relative to the median and the bottom 25%. So let's move up to the age 30 to 34 group. Here, net worth should be increasing as careers are progressing and there's been more time to save, maybe even build up a little bit of equity in a house. The bottom 25% have made it now into positive territory. That's good to see at $3,000, while the median has risen to $35,000. The top 25% though, the top quarter, have hit six figures with net worth of $117,000. And the top 20% continue to pull away. They're over $250,000 now at $258K. By ages 35 to 39, the bottom 25% have continued to move up, but at a relatively slow pace. They've reached $5,000. The median has continued to rise and at a better pace to $55,000, but this is far outpaced from net worth growth in the upper quartiles. The top 25% has doubled their net worth to $228,000, and the top 10% have shot up to over $500,000 at $601,000. So let's skip ahead a little bit because there's just too many age groups to go over in this video. And also, I just don't think that all the details are really that important to get the gist of it. Although I do have links in the description below to the where I got this data from, and also you can there's a little percentile calculator, so you can see based on your age group exactly where you fall. By age 45 to 49, the bottom 25% have hit only $20,000, while the median has risen to $164,000. The top 25% though are way above that at $452,000, and the top 10% have really pulled away now and become millionaires with $1.355 million. Jumping ahead a decade to the 55 to 59 age group, the bottom 25% are up to $39K, and the median is up to $193K. But the top 25% are at $645,000, and the top 10% are now multi-millionaires at $2.506 million. So I think you can see some patterns really starting to emerge here. Yes, net worth does increase by age, which is what we would expect. It makes sense as we're able to build equity in our homes, save for retirement, make investments, just build up savings, and our career should be progressing and our income should be rising to help along with those things. Even though, yeah, some expenses rise as we get a family and children, all those things place greater demands on disposable income. So that's the trend we would expect to see, and we would expect to see net worth rising, through around at least to the 50s, which we're looking at right now. But I think it's also very apparent that this rise is not proportional, and that the increases in the bottom 25% are the smallest. In the median, they're a little bit bigger, but really not that much. And then as we go to the top 25% and then the top 10%, that's where we really see, these huge accumulations in net worth over time. Now, net worth generally starts to fall in the 60s as people are, of course, retiring and scaling back. There's probably some selection biases and kind of odd things going on with the really high age cohorts. So we're going to limit our discussion here to ages 70 to 74 for the kind of in retirement group. Here, the bottom 25% is up to 70K, so that's good to see. And the median is up at over $250,000 at 258K now. The top 25% never quite hit $1 million, but still doing quite well here at 808K. The top 10% has seen net worth fall by about $500,000 from the peak to just a little under $2 million, so still very healthy, of course. Now, of course, we've been talking about this data as if we could track one individual as they go into all the different age groups. That's not what the data are. The data are different cohorts, so there are a lot of factors that were true within a given cohort in terms of, economic conditions at different points in their lives, in the labor market, yada yada, all kinds of stuff. But I still think generally that trend is helpful and does match the pattern that we would expect given the life cycle. So I think we can really look at these data in two ways. One, which is a bit sad and unfortunate, is that really a lot of these gains are really focused on the top 25% and especially the top 10%, whereas it's relatively difficult for the bottom quartiles to make a whole lot of progress in their net worth over time. But the other way that we can look at this is that it really underscores the importance of getting things in order early, because all of those big sacrifices that you can make early on in order to invest and save a lot more, those will compound and make a difference, an incredible difference over time, where that gap widens further and further as we get older. And so, of course, you as a viewer of this channel are probably smarter than the average bear and more financially savvy, or becoming so, and are likely to be on a good path moving forward. Now, in reality, of course, I think we can both sort of walk and chew gum. We can recognize that it is probably not super desirable for these patterns to be playing out, but then we can also try to do the best we can for our own personal situation, if that makes sense. Now, finally, I'd like to point out that it is also important to zoom out and look at things on a global scale, because we can get kind of bogged down in comparing ourselves to other people within our own society, in our own country, or area even. And as they say, comparison is the thief of joy. And actually, if we can kind of compare it to on a broader scale, we'll find that those of us who were lucky enough to be born in sort of Western or developed countries with high standards of living, we're actually very fortunate. So I've pulled up some data here from the Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report. And their intention in this chart is to show how the distribution of net worth amongst people has kind of changed over the last decade from 2011 to 2021. But first, let's just look at the pyramid for 2021. So here we can see that if you have a net worth of over $10,000, then you're actually doing better than 53.2% of the global population, which is 2.82 billion people. And if your net worth is above $100,000, then you're actually in the top 13% globally. So hopefully that gives some perspective there, which I think is really useful. And now the good news, though, is that over time we've seen a growth of the global middle class. So actually the number of people following into that bottom part of the pyramid is down from 67.6% back in 2011 to that 53.2% now. And the group with between $10,000 and $100,000 in net worth has grown from 1.07 million to 1.79 million, or a jump from under 24% to nearly 34% of the global population. We also see some growth in those top two segments as well. Now, of course, your income is what you earn, and wealth, which we've been talking about, is what you keep. So let's take a look at income real quick. I looked up some data from Pew Research Center, and I plugged in the median individual income which is $37,500. So this median personal income in the US, so that's just for one person, is not household income, which is actually double that at around $70,000. Puts us in the high income group and in the top 40% globally. So hopefully that gives some good perspective, just some motivation to continue to move forward towards our goals, but then also a reflection of how fortunate we may or may not be, depending on our situation. And especially for those, most of my viewers are in the US and Canada, and so yeah, I think generally we can feel quite fortunate to be born where we are with the opportunities that we have. So that's all for today. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.